Welcome to Soul Spark Tarot. I'm your host, Mr. Renew. We got NK music in the background. I'm happy to actually be back on there. I want to give this message because I want to say a lot, but I don't know how to make it clear. Here's some new music, so I ain't just, pre-planning nothing. It's always like Soul Spark Radio. That means everything just comes free. But I just want to see what's coming out. Judgment calls being made. I haven't shuffled these yet. Clearly, y'all just saw me bring them out the box. But let's go ahead and see what we're going to be talking about. Temperance, 7 of presents, 9 of presents, 2 of presents. So, making a choice is all going to come down to some judgment. A judgment call is going to be made regardless. But what is the process? What's coming forward? What it looks like is going to be a decision about the 9 of Pentacles. And the 9 of Pentacles is separate from the 7 of Pentacles. But the 2 of Pentacles is the whole thing. So that's the difference between a 7 and a 9. 2, a difference of 2. And then, so guess what? The next 2 that is here is temperance, which is the idea of 2 things becoming 1, or a trinity. Ooh, it's not what the fuck you think it is. 1 is anything. 1 times anything. Damn, I'm just jumped on here and started yelling at y'all. My bad. These are just the downloads that's instantly popping up. Again, I didn't even shuffle the cards, but this is the energy I've definitely been feeling. And I think I've been feeling it this way because it's that 4 energy. And for me, 4 is more balanced of a number than what you actually think it is. 4 is like the number 2. Okay? It operates the same. This is what we call like a quadrilateral. But most things come through 2. My left hand and my right hand. So that I think is this energy, and I think this is what this energy is. I think you smashing this shit together like this, and there's going to be judgment made. But with the world at the bottom too, yeah. So let's actually see what's going on with this. Yeah. If you don't know, if you new, I'm Mr. Renew, and I play music in the background like if this was Soul Spark Radio, which is a podcast on freestyle self-help. I give self-help, talk about it freely. Comes through music, comes through talk, comes through rap, poetry, lectures, yelling, crying, whatever. It's free form expression. It's just creativity. It is what it is. But what I have been learning, and I think this is something that is important about that previous message, is there's things that I want to do, and there's things that I don't want to do. And it's pretty hard to see the differences between the two. And of the 2 things that you can see, there's 2 parts that you can't see. And the only time we can notice that is if we've been going around through cycles, through loops, circles. And because we can do those things, this is like the moon. I just saw the moon card, and that is the moon going through phases. That means it's going from this thing to that thing, but it's actually not doing any of it. It's an illusion. The full moon moving is just a relative motion to something else moving. That's shadows moving across the wall because a person is walking in front of a light. There's 2 parts to it, but you got to realize that there's 2 parts you can't see. And so this is why I brought up the thing quadrilateral. Now, the reason why is because those answers are the things that, if you pay attention, or if you ever took it in school, this is high school shit. Sometimes it's early college shit. But the understanding is You understand there's things in this world called numbers, and then you understand there's things over here called numbers. And the differences between those numbers is what we call an integer. But then there's another difference in numbers in which we call real and then imaginary. And then there's another difference, and these are sets of numbers, and then these are movements of numbers. What I'm saying is, no matter how many things you grow, you can still just divide it by 2. But then you get into the world of quadrilaterals, and that says we can do it by 4s. But then if we was to continue on that same pathway, we can probably find a pattern, which we can, but a better way to see that pattern is through music, because that is tempo now. So by just us seeing a half and a quarter note, we can project differences. But what I'm saying is, before you start projecting 8th and 16th notes, looking at things smaller and smaller and going to an infinite regression, pause. And that's what we have as a rest node. But then there's multiple kinds of rest notes. So if we can work with a half and we can work with a quarter note, that means we can work with a half rest and a quarter rest. We can match up. This is how I think we're going to come into temperance. Well, this is what I know temperance to be, which is an integer, but an identity. This is the absolute value. Yes, there's an absolute value, but the value is not the digit and the value is not the unit. It's not what you're talking about, and it's not the quantity of what you're talking. So these experiences that you can live are justified with the experiences that you don't, or the ones that you take breaks from, or the ones that you pause in between with. The both is always happening, which is the notes and then the rest in between. The inhalations, the pause, then the exhalations, then the pause. That's a lot more than what we tend to think about, but I just broke it down into 4. 2 breaths, 2 pauses. This is the purpose of starting to see the value of having infinite relationships, infinite ratios, being able to take differences and see them as similarities to create differences again. It's just you taking a new angle. It's you walking with a new angel. It's you working with a different energy. It's you working with a different you. However you describe this one, understand that there's imaginary sums as well. Real or not. And this is the idea of you being balanced through temperance, which is understanding that that's always going to be the case. If you can know and be that, I always got to mix shit up, even if I'm mixing up the same thing at the same rate, the same, concentration. I still got 2 different bottles that I'm pouring into one. It's always the case. Why? Because everything is its own case. It's independent. It's in its own domain. It represents itself. But it can't be itself without being in a domain that represents the type of self it can be. In other words, a stem cell won't stem into something if it's not stimulated into something. So we always say what's inside and what's outside. If it's a stem cell, that means it has the genetic makeup to be any part of you. And then the environment determines which part of you. So if your environment externally, the place you're making decisions and choices with, are there with you, then guess what? The decisions and choices you make are also not with you as well. So sometimes you just don't know. So let's get into that a little bit deeper so y'all can see with more clarity. And if you don't understand, or if you still here, you got to know that I'm here for everybody, but when I'm in my free flow state like I just was, I'm here for the teachers, man. And the teachers who teaching, even y'all. See this as spiritual development. It's an intellectual thing that comes through after the experiences of things that we all can be familiar with relative to the spiritual practice. But I'm bringing in these aspects of what we know because I've seen the development of what is known. So when kids are doing things and then they're growing up and then they're doing different things and they're growing up and then they're doing different things again and they're growing up, and you can recognize that you are doing the same thing because you're a kid, then you can start to realize the ways energy play out. The ways energy play out is all through a melting pot of interactions, blending, harmonizing, but chaos is also a form of harmonization. So what is the true like enemy to harmony and chaos? Interference. It doesn't matter. Like what you are doing, if something is interfering with what you're doing, it's always going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem for who's doing it. It's going to be a problem for who's receiving it. But what is interference? Well, it's the same thing as inspiration. So, like, because we now have to get into a world of reorientating our own mental space or making judgments upon the things that we're living last and the things that we got going on around us, because we are now judging those situations, making decisions and choices, we must understand that what are we deciding on? Are we doing things that are black and white? Or are we looking at the colors in between? But are we realizing the colors in between are black and white? I got red over here, blue over there. It's black and white. It's clear-cut differences. So guess what? What is gray? A clear-cut difference again, even if it's between blacks and whites. So how do you temper all of this varying information? How do you understand that these things are occurring so you can allow more of you to flow out? Again, it's about understanding management. Think irrigation. Don't think just water in a garden. Think about agriculture. Think about systems and means of giving it the most optimum environment to grow. And just giving a kid all the snacks in the world, all the things that they want, that's not always good. Making them suffer, not have anything, isn't good. But suffering a little bit is good. And having an abundance of things is good too. And then the same thing can be said on the opposite side. So balance is the key. Temperance is the key. That's what we're really trying to see. But again, I've been just channeling this message. I'm sorry for not beginning. Let's see what we got. Hermit. That's what it is, man. I'm just dropping the knowledge, man. I know I come off kind of young, but I'm wise, and I want you to realize the same for you. And I always say that shit, and I don't think people really believe me. And I understand if people say I'm different, but nigga, I'm saying something that resonate with you. So take that shit, put it in your back pocket, and keep using that thing over and over. Just like I would teach in the classroom, but that's probably what it is. Here's the thing that's, again, all of these things I've been wanting to talk about for the last week. Since the last time I did a reading, I guess, but even before then, they're popping up. So I've always wondered why, like, I don't need help with a lot of shit. Like, I'm smart, and I, like, try to learn and think about things in a certain way, especially, like, if it's a duty. You know, so if I have doing a job and I'm looking for something, I don't need help. I know where it is. I'm just looking for something. But I realize that most people who are looking for something need some help, because people in the grocery store normally just browsing. And until they get what they need. It's a different kind of look. And so some older gentleman was like, "Can I help you with something?" And I just said it. It's like, man, I don't, but like, tell me, what did you see on me that says I need some help? Because a lot of people want to give me help, and I'm like, nah, nigga, I don't ever need any help. I used to work for this motherfucker. I know how this shit work. But tell me, he was like, I don't know, you had a look in your eyes if like you were determined to find something. And that shit rung so many bells for me. Even though I'm wise and I'm the hermit and I got all this knowledge and, you know, I can I can see without, I can see through hearing kind of thing. I can, smell through sight. I can blend things a little bit differently. That Knight of Needles, and it's funny that the devil's depicted, but I can be manipulative of my own energies. But what is the manipulation? Well, if I have to manipulate anything, anything could be data. And if I'm manipulating data, then what am I doing? I'm reorganizing or I'm creating different ratios between the same data set. It's the same information. I'm just using different equations to derive information from. If I poke that shit, will it wiggle? If I slap her ass, will it jiggle? Like, like that's just what this energy is, though. This Knight of Needles. It's curiosity, but at a mature level. It's for a purpose of acquiring information. Think of it as a junior scientist. Yeah, I'm not doing the craziest shit out there, but I'm doing some things. And this is like your kid trying to cook with you. Come on, junior chef. Come on, apprentice. Like, that's this energy. It is the Knight of Needles versus just the kid being there. That would be the page energy. It's just there. Yeah, my mom cooked tacos on Friday. Like, I just know that shit happening on Friday. Do I give a fuck to cook? Nah, I just gonna eat tacos on Friday. Versus the other kid is like, can I help you make some tacos? Oh, I read about tacos. I read about this ingredient. Can we try these new tacos? Brother don't give a damn. He gonna eat tacos. Mom over here is like, well, daughter might want to come cook and experiment with some tacos. Again, the reason why I'm bringing this up is everything is one. I believe I said that earlier, and I said that I was sorry for yelling at y'all, and I started to talk calmly, and I did all of that to help us understand that 5 times 1 is 5, 1,025,000,000,000,000 times 1 is 1,000,000,000,000,000 whatever times 1 is the same. So when you have something as one, or could be totaled up as that one thing, the focus is, why is there 3 different things? If it's just one thing, why do I need to use 3 different things to show the one? Well, this goes back to my original channeled message. You have to be able to recategorize the things that you're tempering or putting together. Even though I have a bottle of vegetable oil and a bottle of vegetable oil, I'm going to be dumping both of those into my frying pan. Like, that is the key. Like, you got to see that, they're not just bottles of or of oil, just a noun plural. No, they are becoming something else. They are my fried chicken grease, my fish fry grease. They are the French fry grease, whatever. But the idea is that we had to put things together. If I would take dry coffee bean and then I took some hot water, I can put those things together and make a cup of coffee. But then I can also do something else. I can put something in the cup of coffee first, and then I can blend not just the water, not just the bean, but that combination into a new combination. Now I got hot water bean with cream. Again, I'm trying to convey how emotions are produced and expressed, and how you can use them to be creative in your own mental transgressions. And again, a transgression is just what? An aggression across a different place. In other words, an opposition. That's it. And anybody can oppose anything, which is the whole idea of having the water or the oil bottle over here versus the oil bottle over here. Here's the first bot versus the second bot. Ooh, there's a difference for you now. Here's corn oil versus vegetable oil. They're both fucking vegetables, right? Oh no, one's a grain, but they both plants. So again, there's always this thing called topology. And then this topology is placed within taxonomies. Now, I know y'all like, what the fuck? But again, these are anything I say, I want you to look it up. Just like in the classroom, write down the notes. I would say don't write down everything. If I tell you to write it, that means everybody should know it. If you are good at taking notes, you know what key terms to look for. Look for my subject nouns, and what am I talking about? But if you aren't good at notes, I say if you hear something and it sounds good to you, write that shit down because it sounds good to you. So that thing that you're writing down will sound good in this topic. That's going to help you understand more of the topic because you're coming from a place that sounds good to you. Now, even if you need clarity, you're coming from a place where you understand what sounds good to you, so you're going to talk it that way, which is going back into that music. I'm just talking one lecture in the class, but every single student can multiply my lecture to themselves and get themselves back with that own understanding, that own sound good. This is this hermit energy within us. I've been trying to understand what am I doing because I don't value things like other people. Like one of my major things that I've been trying to understand is the value of the voice. And I don't get it. I don't get it. I just hear it. But there's some people who love the sound of people's voices. There's some people who be like, oh man, that's the way that sounds is just, it does something for me. I don't know what that really is. This is the Six of Candles, but it brings victory to people. It inspires people. I know that I like to listen to things like Big Boy in the morning, Charlemagne. I don't listen to them. I listen to the clips because, again, the conversation, Brook and Jubal on the TikToks. I've seen that shit. I've listened to it, but I've also been told that I have like a radio voice. I don't know what that means, but then again, I can sing different kinds of songs and like sounds and vocals. Even though when I was a kid, people would tell me like I was tone deaf and whatnot. I'm like, to who? And that's where a lot of these things started to come from. It started to help me understand the behavior of people, in which now I realize that it's not people behaving, it's people enacting behaviors. So it's actors. This is a whole entire play. It's a stage. This Earth school, if it's a school, well, guess what? Which role are you playing in this movie? There's a lot of movies where the school of life is what it is, where it shows people getting bullied in neighborhoods, in gangs, and prisons, and all of these places. But that shit happens in the classroom. But then it also happens in jobs. So if the same behaviors are occurring over and over and over and over, what the fuck is going on? Where is the wisdom? Where is your wisdom? Like, you see the cycles. Damn, I feel like I've been just yelling at y'all. Here's some music. Where is the youth? Just kidding. So, nah, for real. That's this energy, though. That's this king of potions. This energy is meant for you to come in and understand the victory behind the emotions that you can carry. The emotions that you carry are all emotions. Now it's about managing the flow or the creative concentration. And you know why this is so hard? I thought about this the other day. This is the epiphanies that I be doing on fucking TikTok. But it's epiphany time. You gotta realize that you're all parts of you. But you don't have the same amounts of you in practice. So when you practice certain things, you value more things. Damn, this shit is throwing me off. I'm gonna get YouTube music. When you can value those things separately, you can start to see when you give up on other things, But again, a creator is going to hate this. A creative artist, they don't want to be told when to create or how to create, or they just want to create. They just want to be a bird singing songs because nigga I can. That's me with music. Like that's how I feel. That's me talking. Those are things that I just do because I can and I enjoy it. And when I can't talk or don't want to, I'ma write or I'ma think or I'ma read. I'm going to do something to show myself that I can interact creatively in the way that I want to. And even if that's sitting there doing nothing and fucking brain rot scrolling all day, that's what I'm choosing. Because I know that a part of me understands that I need that, and another part of me is going to support that part of me, even if that third party does not like the first party. That lazy son of a bitch over there who wants to do nothing, we got bills to fucking pay. We need to get out here and work. Now, they might be dead ass tired, and if they're tired, they're gonna be bitching and complaining. Let's just let them rest. Tomorrow, we know we're gonna have them, and they're gonna work hard for us. So I know you want to get on it today, but if you can moderate this, just do it for me. Do it for me. I can make sure that tomorrow that they working hard. Fuck them, but I'll do it for you, man. Make sure that shit happen. Again, it sounds like a simple situation and like a job or in a friend group. It sounds so simple, but that is a conversation that you would have with yourself. Again, going back to that Knight of Needles or that Knight of Swords. Having these mature conversations means I need to get some kind of reasoning out of it. Be the moderator. Be that motherfucker in the middle. But you got to realize that if you're going to be in between everybody's shit, some people might just see you as some bullshit. So, again, this is the hermit energy. This shit is being dropped like a hot skillet right now on you, and I hope all of you are paying attention to this dude. But I'm trying to tell you to pay attention to you, because I don't know your life. I can't be that motherfucker in between your life. I can't be the one who needs the rest in your life, and I can't be the one who's saying, get the fuck up in your life. But there's always four, and that's the whole point of understanding all of this. We wouldn't even consider there to be a fourth option, but that's what I'm trying to get you to understand. It wouldn't even be conceivable. It makes no sense to have a fourth thing when I can take those three things and turn them back into a one. Why would I have to do anything else but be myself? Why would I consider things outside of this situation? Why would I want to have something interfere with my shit? Well, there's victory in some kind of emotional expression. So guess what? Let's find out what that is. The layers. That's why. It's because there's layers. Your tone and what you can hear, you might not heard all the puzzle. I might not have heard all the puzzle. But what I heard, you're missing. And what you have, I got too. Ha ha! What does that do for you? We're the same stick. I just got two parts and you got two parts. But then we can put a third part in there and we can say that we both are missing something. But then the fourth thing comes in, I don't have what you're missing though. So what does that mean? Does that mean I got more than you? But you got everything else and I got everything else. I just have what you are missing. Do I make you complete now? And are you useless to me because you can't complete me? But if you know everything and I'm missing one part, how can you not complete me too? Where does the value come from? The value comes from taking a new step in a new direction and seeing something new. So this is the fourth. This is the fourth. How can you understand all of those things in the fourth way? The quadrilateral. Well, a quadrilateral polarizes things. It doesn't say the answer is 4. It says the answer is a plus or minus 4. That tells you three different things. It says you got a number 4, but then it says you got a 4 on the positive side, and then it says you have a 4 on the negative side, but what it doesn't tell you is that you have absolutely 8 spaces. It doesn't tell you that. I have to make sure I tell my students this because it's not conducive to the process of this plus or minus. We know it equals something. X is equal to a plus or minus 4. But it doesn't tell you the absolute number of spaces or how that 4 can present itself. It just tells you that if you had to see it in opposites, guess what? It can be on this side or that side, but both of those things can be on the same side. They can be on the same side, on the same plane. They can be on the top to the bottom, or they can be on the left to the right. You get into this thing where you cannot escape the balance. So how do you escape the balance? Well, this is the whole part about the 4. You don't create the balance. You see in between the interactions of them. You see in between the layers, and this is what we call a scale. Inside of physics, everything is on a scale. Everything is scalar. That means something not to what people understand it to be. But the Schwarzschild, I don't know. But this dude has the theory on the proton and how it is the layer or the scalar measurement throughout the universe. And I don't see it why motherfuckers will argue that. How the fuck can you argue that when atoms make up the universe? And what is the universe that is made of atoms? Protons. Why is it a proton? Because the change in the proton changes the fucking thing, or it changes reality. That's it. Hydrogen is not helium, and the only difference is 2 protons. But if it's all one thing, then it's 2 divisions, or aka a different scale of one another. So again, this is deep. Swimming in the trenches. But this is deep. Nah, it's the trenches. Alright. Exactly. So the reason why this seems so deep and why I feel like the need to say that, we got the 4 of needles, but then we also have the 6 of needles. 64, 46, or 10. This here is why. People are afraid to end things. And because people are afraid to even end things on the thought side, in other words, if I had to do a whole bunch of work just to tear that shit down and do it again, just to tear that shit down and do it again, and every single time I do it, it takes 3 hours to put it up and 2 hours to take it down, nobody wants to do the same shit 3 fucking times for 15 hours for no benefit whatsoever. Who wants to fucking do that? That's the devil energy. Nobody wants to waste their time. Oh, people say time is the most valuable thing, but time doesn't exist. So what does that mean? Well, if it doesn't exist, that means that something of time doesn't exist. Because to not have an existence of time, you're still talking about what? Time. So to not have a note played, you're still talking about a note being played, called a rest note. Again, all of this shit is coming back full circle because you can't escape this motherfucker. You don't have the velocity to escape the one of all. That's the Most High God. You don't have that ability. You cannot. No matter what you do, it's always going to be side by side or multiplied by 1. You are not bigger than the sum. So you just can't do it. You can't be $1.05 if there's only $1 that ever existed. You can think of having $1.05 when you take a fraction of it and treat it as its own. But guess what? That is your version, your creation, your recreation, or your attempt at Fibonacci. Fibonacci is a mathematical process that simulates growth or the life of growth along its own unique pathway called phi. This golden ratio, or this life-giving ratio, or this golden lock ratio, or means of existence, or frequency of operation on reality, this thing is your stairway to heaven that allows you to channel information through different dimensions, which will give you the ability to take in thoughts and alter them and see how you can apply the sharp end of the needle, which would poke and create blood and even can kill, into sewing you that was dead and Frankenstein together. You can even bring back things to life when you can understand the manipulation of your own mindset. This is the gold. This is you transmuting things into a new higher state. This is the alchemy of your life. It is the balance of the 6 with the 4, which is the end of all, the 1 and the 0, which is the creation of all, the 1 and the 0. So recreate by re-rationalizing the situation through new ratios of growth based upon the interaction of what is to be, based upon what is already known to become. Potentials. Let's get a final message. This is the clarity final message I'm hearing. Okay. All right. Page of Candles with the hang. Oh, shit. Troublemaker. Good job. Your job is to become a troublemaker in your own world. You have to become Bart Simpson to all the normalcies in life. You have to become something of a menace to the things that keep you in this position. Ooh, why? Because it stops this. You gotta go find out why the toilet is clogged the fuck up. You gotta do it. Oh, it's because there is a part of you not realizing that you're constipated and now you got this heavy metal saturated feces in your toilet and it's backed up because you needed all this toilet paper. Or you aren't getting enough vitamin A, so now every time you take a shower, your hair is fucking falling out and it's clogging up the goddamn sewer pipes because you got balls of hair because you're lacking a certain nutrition. Bart Simpson creates problems, but for all of the problems he creates a new train of thought. It's chaos, right? But it repositions itself. The only person who causes chaos for anybody that Bart does, it's the male figures in his life, but the one, which is his teacher. But everybody else, I mean, all the other women really, he's normally great with. But his dad tries to kill him, right? The masculine energy wants to like keep shit together. Skinner, the principal, he wants to keep shit together. You know, the teacher, she wants to keep shit together. So again, even though she's the teacher, she is enacting a masculine energy, a leader of the classroom. Bart Simpson is always going after the leadership and making them move differently. This is that youthful, immature energy, but it's more than that. It's diabolical. It's deliberate. You got to be like that with the shit that keeps you hung up. And that's crazy to say, but this is why we had that clarifier that came out. But I needed to say it first so you can understand that you need to bring trauma to the things that brought you trauma. I'm bigger and badder than you. Guess what? The only thing you're responding to is this shit here. All right. Well, guess what? I'm going to bring it a new way you wouldn't even consider. I'm going to play a prank on you and make you embarrassed. And guess what? A person who wants to be mean and all of this they expect you to be mean back. Again, if you give this, I'm going to give it back to you. Nope. If you was like, nah, I'm going to give you something you wouldn't think of. Here's a hug. What? The fuck? Oh. You got power and authority over me? Here's a thumbtack. Take a seat. There are different ways that you can do things to put things into balance, but the point is to bring a ratio that is uniquely your own. How do you do that? How do you be Bart Simpson? Because if you understand, Bart Simpson was a twin. Gemini energy, right? And then that diabolical energy was met with some angelic energy. But because Bart is the left shoe to the pair, you got to understand that he was still a part of the right side. He's still a part of the box or the pair. So there's a bigger thing that keeps this diabolical energy contained, because guess what? Homer Simpson goes and chokes Bart until he acts right, and he does for those moments, and then he stops and goes back into being Bart Simpson. But then the other side of him, he can stop. It can be put on pause. That is the idea of creating this energy. Yeah, you might ring yourself up a little bit, like the idea of needing to have a three-way conversation. One who wants to overwork, one who want to be lazy as fuck, and the moderator in between. You might need to come in and bring a whole new point of view and be like, man, fuck both of those. Fuck both of those. How can we say fuck both of those? by doing both of them. That's saying you get a day off today, but you got to work double time tomorrow. Take an extra day of rest today, but tomorrow we're going to work twice as hard. Hey, football team, you will not have football practice today on Tuesday, but on Wednesday we're doing 2 practices today. We got 2 days. What do? You said you was too tired. It's Monday. You was too tired from the workout on Monday. You need an extra day of rest. Okay, I'm going to give you an extra day of rest on Tuesday, but you got to do 2 days worth of work on Wednesday. Will you take that deal? That's this energy that's coming with Bart Simpson. Ha. I want to make a deal. That's the energy. So all of this comes down to say, man, that you're looking at taking all of the wisdom that you've obtained, and you're looking at going in with a newfound perspective of how to approach the things that are long-standing in your way. These things that are in your way because these things just lead to this. So what energetic avenues or creative means of expression do you need to turn the emotions up on, and then which other areas do you need to restrict? Remember, you need to put a valve on your emotions. It sucks. No artist wants to be told when to create. But you gotta be the manager. Be that manager that says, all right, record label, you can't just fucking come in and expect this, and that on your time. Especially when you don't understand that this client needs to have their this and their this and their this to be in a creative flow state. If you demand it, provide the environment for it. But then you also got to turn around and go to the other side. Hey, man, you can't be fucking sitting around here doing nothing when you got all this time. You can't blame it on being not creative or feeling passion or expression. Get the fuck up and let's go somewhere to where you can find that creativity and that spark. You just can't sit here and be wallowing into the darkness of this one reality. You need to move. You need change. You know how to stimulate yourself. Don't say because they put the pressure on you to have it by a certain date that everything's going to revolve around that certain date. No, you got to say, okay, I have that date, but I got today. If I can finish it today, cool. If I need more time, cool. But right now, I'm going to say, fuck it. I'm not just going to go wash dishes because I want to avoid it. I'm going to go to hike first. And then if I want to come back and take the hike thoughts into the dishwashing thoughts, then guess what? I'll do that instead. But right now, I'm not just going to jump to working because I need to work. No, I still want to be lazy, so I'm going to be doing some other kind of lazy activity relative to me. So guess what? This manager in between, we need to give them some value. We need to give them some praise. They shouldn't have to continue to go over here and to continue to go over there. So what do? Well, a person who's doing the same thing is the only person who can come in and balance that. That is this too. This is what you're trying to do. This Bart Simpson character is over here being mischievous, manipulative to get the radio company to do what it needs to do. Over here, he's trying to get the artists to do what they need to do. But over here, he's carrying a light that is for both sides. So what is this compliment? What is the compliment over here? That's what we're trying to understand. What is this compliment? Well, this is the idea of re-rationalizing the things that you have. This is this card. This is this card. This is this card. All the things that give you all of these different sensations. But this is the way that you enact it. You enact it by saying, okay, I'm going to cause some oogie booginess, right, to one of the things that I like. Like, I like to drink. I like to drink. But instead of drinking, I've been all the time like I used to. I've been exploring different types of alcohol a little bit more, and it makes me not really crave it. And when I do crave it, it's like, cool, I want something of love this. So it's becoming more of the quality aspects behind it, to the point where it's going to be nothing. But I've been there where I've had the nothing. And it brought me back to here when there's other parts of me who can handle that. But the part of me that needed to drink, it couldn't handle that reality like everybody else. And it didn't feel supported enough to where it could stitch itself back together with some new thoughts. So this devil called reality, but this devil to reality is called alcohol. This thing is being this guy. Whoop! That Bart Simpson character. Again, it's over here causing problems, or it's over here causing problems. But no matter what, alcohol just existing will benefit and cause problems. No matter what, the manager here is going to have to manage the student, or excuse me, is going to have to manage the artist, and is going to have to manage the company. That's what a manager is doing. I got to manage the employees, and I got to manage the information from the higher ups, the leadership. That's what this is. The teacher got to teach the students and update the principals. All of this shit is coming the same way. But this is the way. So you need to use this. Change what you're stabilizing your thoughts upon. 1, 2, 3. But no, let's bring in a fourth aspect. Think of this as the unit. Don't just say I got 5. No, nigga, you got 5 dogs. I got 5 birds. I got $5 million. You got to put something extra on there. And when you do, now you can balance it out with 2. Now I got a plus or minus. Now I don't just have 3. That can just be a 3. No. I got 3 dogs and 3 cats. Now I got 6 animals. Now I'm adding. I'm creating more by splitting. But I can keep it all together by having a larger way or a new ratio of doing the same thing. I can say, oh, I got 2, 4, but I'll also have 3, 5. I can skip count in a new way, a different way. I can take 2 jumps on my left leg, then I can take 2 jumps on my right leg. I can go left, right, then I can go right, left. I can complement even if I'm complementing with different ratios now. I can move in 3 dimensions, a third of the time instead of half the time. But the third is a half note for us. Or excuse me, a rest note for us. This is the plus side or the minus side. This is what science or physics will call a vector. Because everything is a scale or an octave or a pitch frequency, because these things has this ups and these downs or these separations, I can put those things together, solos. I can put those things together and I can make new things by rearranging it. This is the rearrangement. This is what you're rearranging. These are the scales. I don't want to make a garlic herb chicken, but I do want to use some garlic on this chicken. I'm going to not make all the garlic and all the garlic salts and powders and minced and yada yadas. I'm not going to put garlic in the rice this time. I'm just sprinkle some of that shit on the chicken. And that's it. Victory nonetheless. I'm happy with what I'm doing, but it's because I'm wise. And what are you wise on? You're wise at knowing which ratio to use. Is it a 2-to-1 ratio or is it a 3-to-1 ratio? Or is it a 6? Do I need a lot or do I need a little? Is this concentrated or is this not concentrated? Do I need 2 cups of concentrated laundry soap, or do I need a half a cup of concentrated laundry soap? What do you need to do in order to see the things that you got? Well, this is where the wisdom comes in between being that Bart Simpson, being that devil, making sure you're crumbling and destroying the structures that keep you what? In the hangman position. Drinking would do that for me. I would just want to do it, and then it will make me want to do it more and more and more. And guess what? It's just because it's what we would call an infinite well, right? No, it just has a larger threshold. But this threshold is beyond what we call life, which is why people can get sick and die if you are addicted to alcohols, right? There's parts of your body that can't contain infinite amounts of consumption of alcohol. But the mind, which is thinking or has repositioned itself to say that I need this thing that doesn't actually consume the alcohol, it consumes the creationary response of behaviors that alcohol gives the body. Maybe that's a freedom of mind. Maybe that's release from trauma. Maybe that's, anger, whatever. But there are emotional capacities. It's like not being able to have a valve on there or not being able to give enough of one thing. But guess what? That is one part. If you bring the devil to that concept, guess what? You got to realize what wisdom will actually trick the devil into changing. Again, why? Because it only is devil-like because we're trying to bring new light. Why? Because the new light is trying to be shown in two different directions. Why? Because we are in temperance now. We're not the radio station. We're not the artist. We are the manager in between. This in between must be met with not the understanding of this was a devilish energy. We can say that was a novice energy or youthful energy, an immature energy. That's what pages are, right? But fucking kids say shit and it will hurt your feelings, right? Because they're not wise about it. So we try to teach them shit, but then some people turn into devils to try to teach a child who's just trying to shine their light. They don't understand this part yet. So then you yell at the kid and you put them in this devilish shape. Or you don't yell at the kid and you put them into a cycle of behaviors that they need to break, aka spoiled rotten children. They are in cycles or stuck into these behaviors of never being told no. So guess what? They're never understanding this energy, so they don't understand when they bring it or when it's being brought to them. They just see it as what? Them gaining wisdom, but they don't see it as them being stuck within the loop of them being stuck between two illusions. They can't become the devil to themselves because they are not receiving information. They're stuck. They think they know it all. They think they know everything. They don't even realize that everything about you is not the fucking world. But guess what? Even if I can come off and it sounds like I know everything about the world, no, nigga, it's everything that you just care about in the world. I just so happen to care about it too. Going back to that understanding of if I'm missing something and you're missing something, but I got what you need and you don't have what I need, am I better than you? You can't put the value on there because you got to see that person has what I need, but I got everything else that I need too. So if I can't get it from you, maybe I can be wise enough to get it somewhere else, aka you can be the fool and you can finally stop being stuck and you can move the fuck on to something new. Should we see? Oh, a new version of a stable you. No longer the 4. Now we're moving in terms of 8s. You finally made it to your 8th note. Now you can understand the differences between going from the 2 to the 4, skipping 6, and now joining with 8. We realized that we skipped a pole counterpart. Now we have to come to terms with a new way to understand. I didn't skip count by 2. I'm squaring myself. I'm doubling. That is completely different. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 is not the same as, let me show you. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 is not the same as, it's not the same as Liberty Mutual. It's not the same as 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. That's almost 6 times more. But that's the whole point. Ratios. I went 5 fingers over here, 5 fingers over here. We counted by 2s and we doubled, which is still by a 2. But because over here we have a new way to move, it doesn't seem devilish if you understand compound interest now. But a lot of people don't like percentages and ratios and decimal points. They don't like that part because they don't know how to use that part. I'm trying to tell you, this is how you change the parts of you that you can't change. You only got one mind. You only got one awareness. You can't replace it. You can't substitute it. So if your kid is just a badass kid, you just can't kill it. If your kid is great and it makes you jealous, you just can't kill it. You gotta understand that that's my creation. Okay, how can I change to see something different about it? Well, I love my kids so much, but I don't like your behaviors. You're always drunk. Guess what? I'm going to do what I can from afar and hope that you can do it by yourself. Guess what? I still love you. That's why I'm going to call you all the time. But I never see you. I'll FaceTime you. I want to see you here. Well, you got to go through your own doors to get to me. Because right now, all you can see me is virtually. 1, 2, 3, I understand that by you understanding that they have to walk through their own door to get to me. And it's not just me coming to them. No, they got to take the journey. That puts more value on you. That puts value or boundaries. So even though it might be hard for you not to see your baby, guess what? By you saying that you're giving your baby a way to get to you, you can start to heal yourself knowing that you didn't just abandon your child, let's say, abandon your business, abandon your job. No, you put more value on yourself, and now you can see more value in the world. So you see the value of your child going on this journey of finding value for themselves and in things around them. So when they finally do come and meet you, they can have the right value in you because guess what? They are wise now. They're the hermit on their own journey. They have realized how they've been the devil or the Bart Simpson to their own selves because all they have is themselves. Because all they have is themselves, all they have is themselves to blame. And once they start blaming the one thing that they have and start reorientating how they can learn those lessons, they'll realize that you did the same thing already. And then they'll see why you got better, and then they can see how they get better for themselves. Hey, sometimes you are the student who needs to teach the teacher, though. Sometimes you got to be the kid teaching the parents this exact same cycle that I described. This is the whole idea of it being a scale. It doesn't matter if you have a 6-year-old kid and that motherfucker is a genius. That motherfucker is Sheldon. He's a genius. Yeah, he doesn't know what it means to be 12. And I always use that, and this is what this comes down to. No matter how smart I was, I used to always respect what my parents and my step-parents would say. But again, I'm not going to just let them tell me it is what it is. You can't tell me that. I clearly know other adults who are telling me this shit too, but I understand what you're saying, so guess what? I'm going to concede to an idea of you know what you know, and you are 50 and I'm 20, so guess what? There's something in that 30-year time difference that you learned that taught you what I'm saying won't happen. And guess what? That's true. A lot of the times, kids who grow up and they realize that their parents is right on some shit that they didn't really understand, that's because they didn't see enough time with it. They didn't have enough value upon what they had versus what they don't. They didn't have enough mischief in their life done onto their own selves. They didn't self-sabotage enough or apply lessons enough in a healthy way. They didn't go the Lisa Simpson route versus the Bart Simpson route. But both Lisa and Bart have their lessons to learn, even though one is considered good and one is bad. They are kids. So guess what? Same thing with the adults. Marge be doing great, but then, sometimes she don't. Homer be doing great, sometimes he don't. Scales. The only one who don't be doing bad is Maggie and the pets, but then they do because other people say they're doing bad. Right? So, again, you can't escape this scalar aspect. The only thing you can do is change vectorial direction and magnitude. That magnitude part is a magnitude of the unit, or that additional thought that you would think that you shouldn't add, but you need it so you can keep new, different, bigger things aligned, new ratios aligned. Yes, I got 4, but if I got 3 over here, 4, if I got 3 over here, and then 1 over here, we say 3 plus 1 is 4. But we can also say 2 plus 2 equals 4. Those are 2 different recipes, and that's all I'm trying to say. So if you can be wise upon the recipes that you're giving to yourself that make you feel victorious, if you can be wise to those things, then what you can do is you can get yourself out of a hangman state. You can start new things, and you can find new balance between the emotions that you're feeling, even when you don't want to feel them. So I feel like I was yapping for a little bit at the end, but hey, deep messages always. This is Deep Message Sunday or some shit like that. Submission Sunday. I don't know. But I'm Mr. Anu. See you next time.